incredibly. This, this man has been cheating quite literally all day, and he literally bragging about getting top four when clearly he doesn't deserve top four. He didn't even deserve top eight, probably. Anyway, you want to get into the specifics? Okay, so the first instance is literally in the deployment phase. So, gene stealers have a bunch of rules. They can deploy their units and then pick them back up, and then yada yada yada. Here, he has a truck deployed. So this is the image of the what we're talking about after he removes the truck. In this little void, there was a truck there. Anyway,
Awesome community.
Doing anything.
You can be a really good player, but also just a gentleman
so
in the
it's
game.
right now he's considering what to pick up, what he wants to do,
Good sport about it. So excited,
where he
actually.
wants to redeploy his units, if he wants to
Wake up
redeploy his
early.
units or keep them in strategic
Watch that
reserves.
late shot around.
Third is gonna be. We're gonna move this boy. So that is all of me.
Cool. And they're both into the cult reserve or whatever.
Yeah, actually, here we'll set these
Yeah,
boys
see, he chooses to redeploy.
over here.
Then right here, he he redeploys them. And then just shuffles the surrounding units around.
I moved up. I don't want you to tuck her
Should
back.
have been this lane like this, brother.
You put it where it was here. That's why I put that venom collar there.
I had him in the line like this.
You literally just.
Have them in a line like this. He's claiming he had them in a line like this on the right when this is how he had them originally. And for context of the Chaos Space Marines player, he's like, I deployed my Venom Crawler there specifically because I had this line of sight. This is the line of sight. So as you can see here, if you draw a straight line from this Venom Crawler's base to this little unit right here, he clearly has line of sight. It's going around this structure, or sorry, it's not being blocked by the structure, but he clearly has line of sight. Afterwards, he does not, and he's specifically pointing out like, "Hey, you just scooch this over, and I know I'm not line of sight."
Actually, here we'll set
Hold on, have a video. This is a sort of more zoomed in look at it.
actually here we'll set these boys over here.
He places it down, then he reaches over and scooches it all in.
She was out a bit, so I could see her with the venom crawler if I moved up.
Now that's just the first instance of many where he conveniently moves things outside of a phase in which they can be moved. The next instance is here.
Boop, beep.
This one was extremely small. This one literally didn't matter
Pull these guys back a little bit. Just to make it a little more
as
civilian.
the squad hasn't shot, so it can advance.
To our YouTube and Patreon.
But after being moved,
Thank you.
the Chaos Space Marine player immediately goes over and remeasures the movement and says, "Hey, you couldn't have moved that far," without also advancing them.
2 tiers on YouTube. We have 2 tiers on Patreon.
Terrible.
There is no second stream game, obviously, because UW's got a game and whatnot too. And so when it comes to YouTube, $5 a month.
It doesn't matter.
Also, commentator
Or
continues the app throughout the entire instance.
as well as a conscript tier. Patreon, both tiers. tiers get you a second table and tons of bonus content. So thank you. And it also enters you into our winter raffle giveaway, which is a box set, Skaven type. If you're not a member and want to enter, take a look at our link tree in the video description.
You would have had to have advanced.
And lastly, not too late, and I'll stop talking for a second here. We have our Las Vegas Open objective markers. You can go ahead and enter into that raffle, which happened this round here.
They're-
Follow, like, and tag.
Yeah, they were physically on it.
Okay.
All right, dude. We're just gonna move back 6 here, and then
Now this next instance is a little weird, as it involves sort of ambiguous rules with a line of sight and how things are interpreted.
I'm not seeing how you have that line. Can you show me? Sure.
So basically, the argument is that I believe it's this unit right here, this Venom Crawler, I believe, cannot see this little guy right here. And the argument is, oh, I can see his arm, therefore I have visibility.
So from the edge of this
Is it just a case of
laser
like an arm?
cannon into that guy's arm.
Is it something to where like we can just rotate that?
See, he walks over, rotates it so that his opponent loses visibility. Now, I'm not entirely sure of the rules on if you can randomly spin your models when you feel like it. But when your opponent is declared, I can see this, therefore I'm shooting at it, and then you go over and then move it. I also have some screenshots here because, at least in my opinion, not only does he rotate the model, he also scooches it ever so closer to the terrain. It's very small, and probably that part is unintentional. But not only does he rotate, he also scooches it in, again, in an attempt to deny line of sight. But after your opponent has already declared, I have line of sight, and then you walk over and you attempt to deny that line of sight, that seems a little weird, don't you think? And wasn't really commented on because the CSM player immediately said, well, I can also see your base still, so none of that matters. That's sort of a common theme with some of these,
All right, sure.
is that in the end they didn't matter, but the repetition of it shows like a pattern of dishonesty here.
Takes one mortal wound. Down to 10.
And then we have the next instance where this isn't a rules violation. It's just a little hypocrisy here. So the same the same player who's trying to deny visibility by rotating the unit to be outside of line of sight then wants to argue that he can measure from his gun, which is
all of the little guns. Well,
extended past his base, therefore he can have vision of the enemy, which is within the rules. But again, it shows a level of hypocrisy here where he's not playing by the same rules that he's trying to enforce onto others.
So these 3 guns can cut in and get the Talon. Everything else is going to go into the Venom Crawler.
Those 3 on that end?
Yes.
I thought we said the walls were up.
Right here.
Yeah, I see that.
And here we have the CSM player attempting to
But you're not gonna get, or those 2, but you're not gonna
measure it and pointing out that I don't believe that
No, I know that.
you have vision.
All right, no, you can do 3, fine, whatever.
As you can hear there, you can have 3 there, whatever. A little bit of a sort of direction in his voice of how he's definitely feeling right now. Yeah. And and for reference, this is round 7 of a 9-round tournament, technically 10 rounds because of the shadow round, although I don't know if some of them competed or not. Anyway, each round I believe is 3 to 4 hours per round, 3 rounds a day with 1 hour in between. So these guys are at this convention hall for what, 10, 12 hours a day for 3 days straight. So sure, there's going to be fatigue and there's going to be heightened emotions because you're at this for a very long time. But it's also important to note that you're at this for a very long time. This is round 7. You should probably know what you're doing, or at least know your own army. That'll come into play later. Foreshadowing is a literary device used by writers. Anyway,
Fine with 3. They're gonna be on 5s. 6s are sustained and lethal.
anyway, this is like the first of many instances where you simply call a judge over. Like judges are there to settle things like this. And even if it's something as small as like, hey, judge, do you think this has vision? Like that's why they're there. And if they want to sit there and argue that like something as small as this isn't like their purview, like that's not why they're here, then they're simply lying or else just wanting to sit there on their phone.
No, actually, that was 24. Sorry, you're right. 24.
This is a bit later, 2 hours, 5 minutes into the footage.
All right.
This isn't a rules violation. This is just a lot of people were bagging on the CSM player for pulling a lot of rules lawyery type stuff, but in retro, like to explain in a normal tournament with other games, if you're this deep into a tournament, you are going to rules lawyer because you want to win. Like it is a game. There, if there is a victor, you want to be the victor. So you want to win. However, this is a great instance of, well, people are bagging on him for doing these things in order to win, but
There's only just the Benny and 4 dudes left.
You have killed 14, so there should be 6 Neos and the Benny.
I just killed 2 more with the.
Yeah, you killed 12 with the first,
Okay,
and then you killed 2, so you've killed 14. So there'll be 6 there plus the Benefactus.
gotcha.
I'm just saying, Ergomowski. I'm just saying.
Because then you're missing models then over here.
I am.
He's only got 4 and then the Benedictus, which is why I was saying that.
The cannons.
Or 5, sorry. Where's the other green guy?
Oh, then I just pulled 1 too many. Boom.
So because we killed 12 and then 2, so 14 dead.
Yeah,
then
so
see, if the CSM player is so focused on victory, why did he just point out to his opponent, hey, you pulled too many models, I only killed 14, you removed 15? If we want to argue that he is rules lawyering for the sole purpose of victory, he wouldn't have done that. He would have accepted that his opponent removed too many models, effectively just cheating for the CSM player, and then moved on. But no, he's not trying to rules lawyer for the sake of victory. He's trying to rules lawyer for the sake of integrity of the game. This is why he points out his opponent's mistake, gives him the points back, and then they proceed.
should leave 6.
Next instance is remember when I said that we are, oh God, what would it be? Like 18, 19 hours into this tournament since we're on day 3. You should know your own list, right? Oh, I don't have his list. He the Genestealers player has 3
That's 1 lethal.
Benefactus.
Cool. And then 2s, I'm guessing. That's 3 wounds at -3.
5 up and on.
So 2d6. How many wins does she have?
I believe she is 4.
Alright. If she does, I'll spend a CP to reroll with a 1.
Claims that she has 4 CP. Or sorry, four wounds. Invictus has 3 wounds. 18 hours into a tournament, you don't know that the HQ that you have 3 copies of in your army list has 3 wounds, not 4, when your opponent is conveniently dealing 3 damage. Now, to couple with that, he says 4 wounds. You can barely hear it, but you sort of indistinctly, you hear like an indistinct voice off to the
How
side,
many wins does she have?
and then suddenly he
believe she has
remembers,
4.
oh wait, she has 3 wounds,
She does,
not
I'll spend a CP
4.
to
My
reroll
bad.
with a 1.
Oh, I'm not. I'm pretty. I'll give you it.
What's
I'll
that?
give you it.
I'm
Does she
pretty
not
sure.
have an invuln?
He's just so
No,
gracious.
she does have an invuln.
Oh.
My phone's busted. I
Oh.
can't actually get to the app. I'm just gonna say she's 3.
Okay.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm
Well-
pretty sure my only 4 wound character I have in this list is my Primus.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
I had it wrong.
No worries. Havoc.
This is the first round of the tournament. Or sorry, first round of the day. He's claiming that his phone is either dead or finicky or not working or something. On to the next one. There's so many.
I want nothing.
Hellbrute.
Okay, cool. So the bikes and the 2 Hellbrutes. All right.
TD Cult's pretty strong point here.
Movement.
Yeah.
Again, Floof, just thinking when it comes to holding on to those primary points,
Over.
not something
Big
Ah.
basic.
you want to go ahead.
Here, he's going for a 6-inch move. This squat here can move 6 inches.
Comes to holding on to those primary points,
Over.
not something
Big
There's
basic.
you
6
want to go ahead and contend for.
So if
Just
you're
wants to
behind, you
kill.
can't get through it.
Oh, cool.
His opponent points out those little rubber sheets are 6 inches wide. Therefore, it takes 6 inches of movement to move through it. He is clearly trying to move 7 inches, or at least 6 inches and a base, which is sort of a theme. He consistently tries to move whatever their normal movement is, plus 1 base width extra.
Makes it easy. And they're 12 inches long.
It's almost like someone mathed it out. It's kind of wild.
Now, granted, I would sort of want to measure those as well, because to me that doesn't look like 6 inches at all. If it's 12 inches long and then supposed to be 6 inches wide, that doesn't really line up. So I don't exactly know who's fibbing on this one, to be honest. Anyway,
Let's-
Yeah, Brandon, I'm in complete agreement with you on this one here.
Okay. Our Hellbrutes are not characters, correct?
Correct.
All right, cool.
They're a 2-up armor. T9.
T9. How many wounds?
I'm not re-scrubbing through this because literally the next instance of
How many attacks in both?
sort of cheating is literally right here, like immediately.
I'll go ahead and fall these guys back.
Look at the position of his hand. I do have exact screenshots of his hand. I do. Yay, preparation. So, he declares that he's going to fall back. He then moves the unit.
Shoot after falling back.
He then measures how far he wants to fall back. Now, to explain, this is the approximate location of the unit before he measures. Or sorry, before he measures. This is the approximate location of the unit as he starts to measure. He's clearly just shoved the unit a little to the side to get, again, maybe a little extra 1 base of movement. But not only that,
After falling back.
No.
even from the new location, he measures from this line here. So about where this little orange or not orange, dark gray indent is. That is 6 inches. That is the movement of the model. It can move 6 inches here.
Can you shoot after pulling back?
No.
Moves further than where he just measured. Again. Now,
Alright.
again, this is a case of like, oh, hold on. I don't even know if I spotted that to begin with. He moves probably about 7 inches and then just bumps it about half a base again. Maybe not half a base. It's just a little bump, but it's still extra distance that he's getting for free. And again, most of this doesn't matter because like, like what are the charge distances here? Okay, if he wants to charge this bottom tank, it's 2 inches regardless of, or 2, maybe 3 inches regardless of where he moved it. Anyway, if he wants to charge this, it's probably going to be 5 inches regardless of where he falls back to. So much of this is just like there's no point to it, but it's happening repeatedly.
First save of Vindicate. What am I doing?
And again, here's another over move. See, he measured these first two just fine. Okay, maybe not that one. Maybe he did move half a base too far on that one. Sorry about the speed here. I'm going like 1 frame at a time. Conveniently moves the tape measure out of the way as he's about to place the unit. So he moves again like half a base too far. But then this is the most egregious one. I'll just leave my mouse at the end of the tape measure. And moves it there. Again, notice that my mouse is at the end of the base. And for reference, you measure from this side of the base. If you're moving to the left here, you measure from the side of the base that's closest to where you're moving, or at least that's, you know, proper etiquette to do that because that's the easiest way to discover or measure.
And
Ooh. So here like the middle turns get like really messy in terms of what's actually happening. So I don't actually have any instances of rules violations until almost 3 hours in. Unfortunately, with games like these, like it just starts to be a slog, and whenever it's just everything within almost base-to-base contact, and you're just slogging away at each other, it's like really hard to actually cheat without like fudging die rolls, fudging like what's the strength of your weapon, how many weapons you have, et cetera, et cetera. This is the next instance. So currently he's using a CP that allows, or using a what are they called? Stratagem. He's using a stratagem to be able to deep strike within 6 inches here. So he's literally from like every single little thing his opponent has here, he is measuring away 6 inches. So he's going to sort of create like a barrier of dice in an area where he can conceivably deep strike from.
Tunnel crawlers is
This is the one here that I just thought was extremely weird. It's weird in a number of ways because if you notice, he he doesn't have the tape measure flush with the tank, but he still measures the dice 6 inches away. So, quite frankly, from here, I would say this is about 6.5 inches away from the tank. But then when he starts to bring his units in, he clearly just nudges the dice forward a little bit and then quite clearly just deploys one of them far closer to the dice, like practically on the other side of the dice. Yeah, literally just moves the dice out of the way. Again, for reference, you're supposed to like place your things behind the dice. So, like, again, this is he didn't measure directly from the tank, so this is again probably fine. This is probably outside of 6 inches, but it's a matter of intent. He's clearly moving the dice out of the way to get his things closer. But this is also a case of, okay, what is the intent behind your declaration here? Because in a situation like this, you can easily simply not use the models. If you have to declare deep strike outside of 6 inches, then obviously you can agree with your opponent. Okay, regardless of where I place the models here, I am exactly 6 inches away, correct? Because that is what the stratagem says. If I can fit all of my models here, I am exactly 6 inches away. And yet, what is this extra half inch going to do for you? It's not going to get you an extra inch on the charge. There is no guns that are 5.5 inches. So again, this is a clear case of like this might have been a mistake,
Content going to smash.
but constantly doing it shows a pattern of either just really crummy measurement, really crummy placement of models, or just cheating. Like it's either incompetence or cheating. And he got third place at the tournament. He's like, yeah, sorry, fourth. He got fourth at the tournament, and he's like one of the top rated players in the world. So are we really going to go with incompetence here, or are we going to go with the other option?
I like Bundle Hilty likes up 400 people watching.
6.
Also a special mention to one of they provide you to pack up and has different types of layouts, including WTC.
Also, there's so many of these. Apparently, at some point in my notes, I just stopped noting what the rules violations are. So let's be surprised by this one. Oh, never mind. I immediately know what this one is.
7-inch charge.
So here, your mic, is mine being picked up? Okay, cool. They don't care about you. They care about me. That's why I'm here. So here, he clearly places his finger exactly at the 7 inch or whatever he said that the movement was. And then if you now notice, he has rotated the vehicle around his fingertip. Why? I honestly don't know. I disclosed my notes. RIP. Hopefully that saved. It did. Sweet. Love Windows 11. Anyway. Like, I have to ask here, like, what is the purpose of, like, rotating this ever so slightly around your finger? And again, you might want to argue, like, oh, he's not doing anything nefarious here. And, like, sure, you can argue that he's not doing anything nefarious specifically with this move. But this model and like this model specifically becomes like a huge issue rather quickly, and like its exact distance from the enemy or the CSM models becomes an issue.
Right here.
Is it the very next?
And have heavy stubber here.
Oh no,
Echo-
this is this. Is this a stubber
go-
incident?
Mortar into the cultist is bad. Mortar into the bikes. Should be within 12, yes?
No. Come look. Oh, from my
Yeah,
base without
We're
moving
over
me.
here.
I know. Come look at it. You're not on my base. I'm not on
I
your
can
base.
I can move them up a little bit more if needed. If it's literally like a fraction of a hair.
It is, but you moved your full amount because you were back here. You already did your max because you were behind this piece of terrain. See?
That's another suspect thing I just realized. Anyway, so to explain, the CSM player is claiming you are out of range. You cannot shoot at me. The other player is claiming, well, I have extra movement, so if I wanted to get in range, I could get in range by just using my extra movement. Chaos Space Marines player says, no, you moved your max movement, and as we saw with the finger earlier, he technically moved kind of further than his maximum movement.
7-inch charge.
See, 7-inch charge moves exactly, well, not exactly. Exactly would be right at this line here. So he's like, I don't know, maybe just a couple millimeters too far. It's like whatever. But he moved his maximum movement. And now not only is he claiming that he's currently in range, but that he has extra movement to get into range even if he wasn't.
Is bad. Mortar into
But then instead of calling a judge over to simply get the professional or like the one paid to, sort of mitigate these situations or the situation and decide for them, are you in range or are you not? They just sort of bicker about it for a moment, and then the sort of pissiness between the two players intensifies.
to
And if you're ever in this situation, do not do what they do. Just call over a judge. If you don't have a judge, call over the tournament organizer, call over a third party who's more in the know, that's not friends with either of you. Like try to find a neutral party to come over and measure for you, because bickering about it with
Yeah,
your opponent is never the way to do it.
I know. Come look at it. You're not on my base. I'm not on your base.
I can move them up a little bit more if needed. If it's literally like a fraction of a hair.
It is, but you moved your full amount because you were back here. You already did your max because you were behind this piece of terrain.
But also, again, this is where he's trying to measure from. The sort of corner apex of these two pieces of terrain. And this is where it was. So he's measuring from, again, like maybe half a base, like too far. Now, if he would want to, literally, if he wants to rotate the model and then say it was right here, then this model would have been considered within within these like terrain pieces. I believe that's what the rules would say, which he hasn't been this entire game or the entire time. He's just been considering himself behind it. Yeah. Which is also, I suppose, like why he doesn't rotate, he doesn't rotate it around his finger, but also at the same point, like he measures from like the very tip here, the 7 inches instead of the closest in the direction that he's moving. So like, sorry, bro, but like that's not how circles work. You can't just measure 7 inches from any part of the circle. You have to measure 7 inches from the direction you're moving. But oh, it gets
Okay.
spicy.
Mortar in
You already
of a hair.
It is, but you moved your full amount because you were back here.
Like that.
It starts to get really spicy here.
One hit. Strength 5, twin links.
Oh yeah, no, but before it starts to get spicy,
It's,
says twin stubbers are strength 5. Twin heavy stubbers are strength 4. So he's saying he hits on 3s instead of 4s. He's shooting at strength. He's shooting at strength 4 with toughness, he's shooting at toughness 4 with strength 4, which means he should be hitting on 4s. Instead, he claims that heavy stubbers are toughness 5, so he's hitting on 3s. Again, just your
Like, it's
18
already
round,
not, so
19,
it is,
20
it is what it is.
hours
Starting
into
strength here.
a tournament,
Video judges
like
at
you should
tables.
know the strength of your own weapon.
8 games. Tired.
One hit. What here?
Vindicator?
Stubbers. One hit. Strength 5, twin links.
Strength 5, 10 twin link. Strength 4, twin linked. Just lying or just wrong or just incompetent. Again, choose the most likely, and it's just cheating. This is where it starts to get spicy, as the Chaos Space Marines player seems to be just clearly done with
It didn't.
all of the shenanigans that this dude is doing.
Cool. Just set these here at 9. We're good. Cool. All right.
So for context, since I didn't put the correct timestamp down, he just deep strike these units in. Again, this doesn't matter because he could have just deep strike them closer, but he deep strikes them there, gets to the shooting phase, measures, sees, oh, they're not in range to shoot you. So he just, in the shooting phase, decides to move them closer so that he can be in range. But again,
Push him back
it's
a little bit. We'll
like,
just push him forward.
I mean, it didn't push the whole unit back.
Cool. Just set these here at 9. We're good. Cool. All right.
and this would be a clear case of like, if you're once you get to your shooting phase, you've already shot with other things. You're clearly in your shooting phase. If they are not in range because you mismeasured, that's on you. That's a gameplay mistake. You get punished for your own mistakes. And instead, he's just cheating.
Wow.
All right.
Can't do anything about moving models all the time after he's done moving.
Yeah.
Holy shit. All right.
Clearly,
6, 9, 12, 13.
Chaos Space Marines player is quite done with this. Genestealer player is upset that he's getting called out so often. This is round 7. They're both undefeated. They are respectively playing for money. Respectively, like at the very least, like they're playing for very high levels of prestige. The LVO is like the largest tournament in in a year. It's the largest tournament, so at least something is to be gained for winning here. And the Genestealer player is clearly getting upset for getting called out for. At the very least, he's playing very sort of in other games you would call it like kitchen table games, like very for fun gaming. Just sort of, oh, it's okay. It's not in range. Just sort of move it forward. It's like, no, bro, you're 20 hours into this tournament and you're forgetting the strength of your guns. You're forgetting your wound amounts. You're moving your stuff after you can't move it anymore. You're playing like you're at home having for fun gaming with your buddies, and this isn't the place for it.
Yeah, the models are painted nicely.
Few more.
I will say that.
One, please.
15.
And again, it's a case of like, if he just would have measured correctly, none of this matters. So realistically speaking, this right here doesn't matter. But it shows a pattern of just not great gameplay, just not great sportsmanship.
It was
Yeah.
13 sustained and lethals, and then 2 sixes. So 13 plus 2 is 15.
I fixed my mic. Yes.
Let's go. I can hear you.
Where everyone has to
Does it blow up?
remind themselves, as tough as it may be, it is a game of toy soldiers. Yes, you put a lot of time into it. Yes, you put a lot of money into it. Yes, you definitely have spent money and time to play these games and you want to do well. At the same time, it is toy soldiers.
I take so much offense to that line from the commentator that no one at home can comprehend. These people have spent thousands of dollars on these models. They have spent thousands of dollars to come to this event. They have spent tens, if not hundreds of hours of their life play testing for this event. They have spent tens of hours at this event. And one of the players is getting cheated out of a victory, or at least he feels like he's getting cheated out of a victory. The judges are not intervening. The commentators seem to be super laissez-faire about enforcing rules.
Yeah.
And it's escalating off of one player feeling like he's getting cheated. They're starting to attack him for feeling that way, when we have evidence here that he clearly is getting cheated.
Yeah.
And it's like, until you've been in a sort of situation like this where like you've put this amount of hours into something, you put this amount of dollars into something, you've gone out on a limb to go to a tournament like this, and then to feel like you've had it robbed from you, it's really not a good feeling. And I feel like so many people like can't comprehend that, or at least have some sort of empathy for that.
Yeah, especially the money part. I mean, we're talking about a lot of money. We're investing a lot of money, a lot of time. A lot of these guys had to take like vacation time off of work, to get out here. And we got everyone in this chat room and some of the people there siding with the person that's literally, I guess, famous or known or whatever. And it's just not right, because, I mean, you got one guy that's trying to play the fair game, and anytime you bring something up, everyone's like, oh, like, you're kind of taking this way too far. Like, this guy needs to be yellow carded. And when in reality, it's actually in reverse. This Genestealer guy really needs to be held accountable for this. It's unreal.
Oh yeah, I saw one comment that said this is why Warhammer doesn't have a competitive scene. Warhammer does have a competitive scene. This is the Warhammer competitive scene. There are 1,000+ people at this tournament. And that's just this tournament, correct? Or was it 1,000 people just in the venue?
I think the number came out to actually 1,251 people actually playing, and they only had 151 tickets left to sell. So they almost completely sold out. Actually gaming.
Again, like how many, do we have the numbers between like how many people were specifically in the 40K event versus like how many people were at like the Warhammer Fantasy event?
I want to say it was like a few hundred people are at Fantasy, and like the main chunk of that was literally 40K.
Yeah, so again, like 1,000-person tournament. Like years ago, a 1,000-person tournament in any game would have been considered completely massive.
Yeah.
Completely massive, especially considering this is the Las Vegas Convention Hall, which is like one of the largest in the world, and is, at least on like days 1 and 2, completely filled. Now, granted, that's partly because Warhammer takes up a lot of space, but still, it is like, if it's one of the largest convention halls in the world, it's probably one of the largest convention halls in the world to rent, and it's full. And if you don't know how convention halls work, in one convention hall, you can have multiple halls, you can have multiple floors, all of them are full. So that's a lot of money, at least in terms of how much, like, Games Workshop and whatnot is paying to host the event. Well, a lot of money is going both ways here. And to just completely disregard the rules because, oh, this guy's just so nice. No. Maintain game integrity at all times. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Go ahead and
Oh, okay. For reference, I thought this model was just a model that was forgotten about and like wasn't placed whenever he deep struck. This is a dead model that they're using to measure. Anyway,
so I do gotta go around. Okay, then it's an 8. I need a 7.
so the argument here,
Charge both.
he's attempting to charge the what was it, Warp Lord, Warp something,
Yeah, Warpsmith.
Warpsmith. He's attempting to charge the Warpsmith directly through a tank. You cannot charge through vehicles. You cannot charge directly through the enemy models unless you have, I believe, fly or some other rules that say you can. You cannot charge directly through something. You have to go around it. And that's the argument here. He is, again, trying to measure via a straight line, which is just a clear rules violation.
I
He
need a
could
7.
just, again, the rule is you have to bend the tape measure and see how far you need. At this point, a judge is
Okay.
sort of seeing what's happening here and like preemptively intervening because he knows like, oh, these two are about to start arguing about something stupid.
So I do gotta go around. Okay, then it's an 8.
You want to put him in the middle? What is it? So for him to get the, I mean, he's like almost. Yeah, I know. He's almost 10 away from that guy,
Boom! 8 gets me right here, brother.
and that's not within an inch of the worksmith.
Just where the judge is just going to measure it.
Yeah, this would be like if the two players are just gonna argue over it, just have the judge step in and measure it himself. That's why they're here.
I think that's technically what he's about to do.
Yeah, the judge is going to intervene here and measure for them. But that's not the end of it.
4 gets me to right here. I'm well within 5.
You're not.
Well within 5.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, dude, but
I mean, you are.
okay. Those are the measurements. You've been moving things this whole time, like above and beyond.
It's not.
And is that easily within 5? Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Or 7. Nine. Okay, that's 8.
If I can, just real quick.
Now the judge measured. He said, well, it was 9.
Yeah, 8, 9.
Or this one. Or this
Now he's saying, no, let me measure. So he's completely ignoring the judge intervening and saying, let me measure. He also just bumped the tank out of the way.
model under here like this, and that's the 4.
That's
This
a
is
9.
cusp right here, and that is an inch.
Again, we have more loose measurements.
An 11.
And again, or here we have, he just rolls it and he gets higher than what they were arguing over, so none of it mattered, and he can just make the charge anyway.
Yeah,
So it's literally just arguing over something that, again, didn't matter.
right.
But because one player is trying to play loose with the rules or wants to play kitchen table nonsense, buddy games, like they end up arguing over something that simply
There we go.
doesn't matter.
At the end of the day, it's just
Is that within
you
a...
gotta roll the dice. See if it matters.
Jesus. Wow.
Then he proceeds to put a model in front of a model, by the way.
Rolling you on it. That's
Don't even say that.
Oh, what does he say here?
Jesus. Wow.
Can you get mad when you're cheating and people are calling you on it? That's about.
Don't even say that.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that it's
Finally gets directly called out for cheating, and he gets defensive.
it's come along this way. It's been a tight game. Definitely, it's tense and whatnot. So these guys just take a breath.
Again, commentators are just It's okay,
Pause in
everyone.
chat,
It's
guys.
fine.
Pause
Let's
in chat.
sing songs, say kumbaya. Let's have fun.
Tonight,
Let's forget that we're playing for
Okay.
money and
we
we
have the extra one that was around.
possibly have careers in this game, have a following in this game.
This one, so I'll just set them
I mean,
up.
obviously, the Gene Stealer player has a following in this game. He has enough defenders. He has a following, obviously.
All right.
Yeah, and not even really sure if this is actually his name or if, you know, because they did allow players to make up names if they didn't want to use their real name. I'm not really sure I know of anyone named Floor Cox, so yeah, I mean, it just, his name kind of represents what's going on here when it comes to just
Boom.
unprofessionalism.
We've got.
Oh, yeah.
Strength, one step, fours, AP.
Just gonna sort of cut to the end here because, like, obviously,
Let's go.
yeah, he got in melee combat when he probably shouldn't have gotten into melee combat, and therefore he gets a lot of kills. Yada yada yada.
Dies. 3, correct?
Yep.
Cool. 4 for cultist.
Yep.
Cool. Pass it over to you.
You clearly want this more than me, man. I resign.
Dude, really, you gotta cut it with the comment.
Alright, so
You got to cut it with the comments when he was the one that started the comments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and let's see
Also-
the judge break this up real quick.
Pass it over to you.
You clearly want this more than me, man. I resign.
Dude, really, you gotta cut it with the comment.
You got to cut it with the comments. Immediate cut of Mike. He says something.
that's
We don't pick it up because they cut the mics off. Judge immediately hands out, like, you know, stop, back away, you know, take a breather, yada yada. Camera immediately cuts off of them.
The unfortunate reality is that you know everyone is everyone's human. Normal things can go negative. We're gonna try to keep it our best to keep it more positive. So
Yeah, guys, everyone keep it positive. Keep it positive. This is the kind of mentality that I despise.
Yeah,
How can you possibly keep it positive when your opponent is literally doing everything in his power to win and wants to sit there and, you know, insult you for wanting to do the same? Or maybe not insult you, but, like, definitely treat you in a certain way for wanting to do the same.
yeah,
So clearly, like, almost in every single turn of this game, every single phase of this game, he did something that was, like, not correct. The whole stubber incident where we pointed out that these things, stubbers, are 4 strength, not 5. He fired with those several times. Every single time was with 5 strength. So if he wants to sit there and say that, oh, my phone is acting up, I can't check the rules.
and then
Is his phone acting up the entire game?
yeah, and then like
Conveniently not.
yeah, and then the crazy moving, the pushing models around like in shooting phases and stuff. Like, I mean, it was constantly, the entire game was like that. And mind
I
you,
also didn't even point it out, but at some point he literally just pushes it, like this model or this terrain piece. He just pushes it like to the side in order to fit more models in there.
yeah,
I don't even know what to say. This dude is like the most cooked player I've ever seen.
yeah.
Anyway, I should have prepared a PowerPoint presentation instead of going over the VOD.